There is nobody out there that I know growing premium AAA cannabis on an uber large scale. If you think of fine wines, small vintners, small vineyards, they're growing the chronic. You know, small batch bottles. You're not overboard. Where when you take this thing to the extreme and you max scale it, it loses the love and the flavor profiles.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Inside the Markets presented by StockPulse.com. We are more than honored to be sitting down today with the Jason Harris, CEO and founder of Jerome Baker Designs, one of the original cannabis companies dating back to, I believe, 1991. He has one very interesting story as an entrepreneur and one of the best known, most known brands in one of the fastest growing markets in the United States, that is the cannabis market. So thank you so much, Jason, for joining us today.
Right on, Justin. Thanks so much for having me.
What's it been like riding this wave, watching, especially over the last 8 years, the cannabis market boom?
It's been really interesting watching the market open up and being part of this kind of a tip of the sword industry that's happening. Knowing the whole time that we knew a lot about the insiders and how the whole thing functions, presenting that along with the red tape and the different legal stipulations that come from above. It's just been a really interesting market to watch and become a part of.
Can you speak to watching investors come into the space and how that has transformed it? And then especially your own journey and discussing Jerome Baker Designs with venture capital, et cetera.
What we saw in this space initially is what we call the front lines got the arrows. So a lot of these big cats that came in initially, Canadian moneyed it up, failed miserably. And then other people, the back end is now settling the land. So it was a big bum rush to glory, and a lot of numbers and ideas and logistics that were worked out in the head, but didn't work out on paper, or didn't work out in real life, I should say. There was overgrow going on. There was overtaxation going on. And what I noticed even now is in the licensing segment of this whole thing, some of the licenses are maybe thought out by boards and panels and cannabis advisory boards, but they're not tested in real life. And so until they become tested in real life, then that's the only time we can really see boots to the ground if it works or not. And so it's some of the licensing and the rules that are set up are not sustainable in the long term.
So you mentioned that the Canadian money came in and a lot of those businesses have failed and now other entities are settling the land. So who's ultimately settling the land right now in the cannabis industry?
The land is still wide open. Without national legalization and banking letting us bank regularly, the land still seems unsettled. The people who are getting traction here are people who understand the plants and understand the culture in general. There's a way things are done here, much different than other kinds of businesses. We're not in the pharmaceutical businesses. We're not selling iPhones, and we're not doing beverage distribution. So a lot of people kind of look at other businesses to model what we're doing, but it's just that's not reality. You have to understand the plant. You have to understand the culture and the lifestyle, and that allows traction on the floor. I've seen people that are successful in my eyes today that understand number one, how to grow the plant, and then number two is what is a good distribution model and how it's set up, and what the people are going to buy and what they're going to pay for it, and how it's all going to flow through the market.
Have you seen any sort of like geographical truths unveil themselves over the recent years? So are there certain parts of the United States that seem to be outpacing others, for instance?
Well, what I do understand is that it's kind of like Broadway. California is a state that if you make it there, you can make it anywhere. There's not many brand names that somebody's going to walk into a dispensary and ask for at the moment. And on a national level, that's still where the beef is going to be. People go to a bar and they might ask for a Budweiser or a Corona. Here, we're going to ask for an eighth or a quarter. If you like good cannabis, you're going to want to go a certain direction. If you're going to like just everyday working man cannabis for the best bang for your buck, you're going to go a different direction. So I see that California as a state as a whole is setting up a great model for people to look at and understand how the flow works. I think after California, you've seen Oregon come in hot, came in with a lot of cannabis and overgrew and kind of saturated the market, created a pricing that just wasn't functionable for farming. And you can see how failure has happened up there in a couple of different ways. I also believe that in these new states before national legalization, most important is tourists. Most important is tourist industry. And where there's that, there's definitely potential to have a great market with great business. I'm in Nevada right now in Las Vegas, and we can see here an incredible market that's gone haywire because we have a lot of money into this thing. And we have a lot of people coming through town and they're going to buy cannabis when they're here in Sin City. We also, the problems here are, the cannabis can only be done in these large scale commercial venues that are fully enclosed. And I think over time we need to adjust the rules and regs so that whichever state you're growing in, you're going to be able to grow the premium cannabis for your area, depending on climate, elevations, harvestability. All these different things make factors in how good the weed is. For Humboldt County, California, you're going to get a certain champagne edition of cannabis, as opposed to growing it out here in the desert in Nevada. You're going to get a different kind of a cannabis and have to have different strains, different technique, and know all of that. So it's watching the different states. In the end, I think as national legalization happens, each state will have its own premium area that people can grow good cannabis outside with. And that's going to be an important factor in the overall. Not everybody wants indoor cannabis. Not everybody wants outdoor cannabis. So to supply the market properly, things need to be adjusted a little bit, and states will find their niches.
I know you've launched Jerome Baker Greens in California, and I believe you're looking to expand that elsewhere. Where to, and what have the challenges been in these other states?
Right now we're working in California primarily. We just opened up here in Nevada, and the biggest challenge for us is genetics, moving genetics around and having similar genetics in different states. That's one of the biggest challenges. Other states that are just opening up, there's a bum rush for New York, when we won't see a legal dispensary there for the next, year and a half, 2 years. So I'd like to stay focused in California and stay focused where we know. And then that way we can use that successful model to move out to other states in the future.
Great. So you also just fielded investment. Can you speak about the process of getting the investment, and can you tell us about the investment?
Yeah, we were working very hard over the past. We started in 2016, delving into the cannabis world. I've been in this world since 2003, or even longer. Since 1991, we've been doing the glass blowing here. And so by making bongs, back when everything was illegal, pre-2012, I was invited to the grows or the biggest weed dealers, or I was fully immersed in the underground illegal culture. And I was able to do that because I was making bongs, which was kind of borderline on the fence, legal, not legal. Since 2016, or at least 2012, with the advent of the legal cannabis in Colorado, we started delving into this new market and trying to use our brands to kind of exploit the namesake that we have and all the work that we've done in this industry for all these years. So what I see happening now is that in 2000, let's say 12, we start doing CBDs, and CBDs was our touch point from the plant to the consumer, to our clients and our fans, our customers. So by bringing on CBD and figuring out where the CBD fits, who's buying the CBD, what shelves does it go right on, what's the language behind the sales pitch of the CBDs, it got us traction in this market. So as we move forward, we started to get into cannabis here a couple of years back. And we would have friends in Humboldt County that grew the premium cannabis. We would take our packaging, put it onto their products, and get it out into dispensaries that some friends owned. And we built brick by brick, slowly, a cannabis sales chain. Now, over the past year, we've lucky enough to get an investment. We got 3 people that came in on this. Merida Capital's one of them. Mitch Berukowitz was a believer and sees the magic in what we were offering. Between him, Ross Haley from General Hydroponics, and Jair Veldman from Gavita Lights, all 3 have put in enough to give us a good click and move forward. And when I say good click, again, we're still on that same page of buying packaging, getting the premium cannabis wrapped up with our packaging, getting it out to market, doing a split with profits with the grower, and putting a premium on marketing, advertising, tasting, and giveaways with our glass. And so all these things combined have helped us really just get a real springboard launch in the market here and make big impact in California, where we're really just trying to stay, like I said, stay focused and make sure that we can have a good model to go from and expand out later in the horizon here.
What's the fundraising environment been like in the cannabis industry?
The fundraising environment over here is pretty aggressive in the cannabis industry. A lot of people looking for a lot of different things. So some people have great plans, and some people have great ideas, but only very few have active internal models that work and are able to harvest back ROI. So right now, for us, it's about spending money on packaging, getting that ROI back after the sale of the product in the dispensary. We've also learned where all these little holes in the dam are. When we're moving through this space, we figure out what some of the distribution problems are out there, what some of the shelf life problems are, what some of the packaging problems are, compliance problems. And so by recognizing all these problems, we're able to kind of think forward and understand where the problems are going to be, so we can avoid them and mitigate future issues like that.
Can you speak to the fundraising experience from your own personal experience over the years?
Yeah, in terms of, wait for this bell to go off. So in terms of my personal experience in fundraising over the years, I've been fortunate enough where I have this 30-year-old brand in cannabis. And because I have a 30-year-old brand in cannabis, for me, it's a little easier to approach some of the newbies. And when I say newbies, I mean people with naive money that come into the space, that think they know how to navigate what's going on here, but they could use my help. And so because of that, I've been able to create credibility, street cred, collateral for these companies that are brand new and have an idea with no ROI yet. For example, we worked with a company out of Canada a couple of years ago. They needed light on their brand so that they could go public in the cannabis sector. Yet they knew nothing about the plant. They knew nothing about the lifestyle or culture. So what they did with me was basically hire me to create hype, to create light on the brand that would make them look good in this new cannabis space. So just navigating these people and understanding what people are funding right now and why they're funding it right now, that's a really important factor in all this. For me, I really believe simple is key. Simple, simple and easy to see ROI coming back from investment. Without that, I've seen a lot of harebrained ideas out there lately, and sometimes I question, how they've gotten financing or how they're going to get financing. So it's a wildly space to be in. I'm sorry, did I lose you? It's a wildly aggressive space to be in terms of who's financing or who's funding these things and how and why. Again, it's about really being in tune with the plant, the culture, and how this whole system works. And when I say system, I'm talking about the distribution model in cannabis. It's unlike most anything else that we've dealt with through the years. So it's really interesting to see it and be a part of it.
Can you compare the Canadian public model with the private model that you're familiar with today, and maybe the benefits and pitfalls of each?
I would say that the Canadian public model was the only reason it exists is because they were allowed to have it exist up there, where down here we weren't allowed to have it exist for a long period of time. So they got the jump on us. And when they started doing all this stuff, there might have been less than 100 dispensaries in the whole country of Canada. So how some of these companies were able to get up and going was all on just contingent and talk. There was no real traction or no functioning business model set up that was making dollars come in. So now after they did start up there and they got heavily financed to go public with companies, yeah, they're selling some cannabis right now, but I think that still we have to just pay attention here and understand you're going to grow the plant. It's going to be harvested in 30 days of harvest. You want that product in the dispensary. You want good fresh cannabis in the dispensary. You want good flavor profiles. This is all being learned right now. In Canada, there's not a big enough market to support all the giant industry that they've built up there in Wall Street or on these financial companies that are going on up there in cannabis. To me, it's all a sham. So I think that anybody investing in cannabis right now, definitely you want to look at what is the exact model that you're investing in and how does it turn ROI right now? Not how is it going to turn ROI next year or next quarter or in 3 years. We want to understand what it is right now and how your investment's going to come back to you. Because if you can't see that, you can go down the street and find it. There are people out there with an existing business that need to get money, that need that financing to either expand to grow, expand a brand, build machinery, work in that picks and shovels categories, or even genetics right now. Genetics are what I'm seeing is becoming very valuable. And when I go to these large scale cannabis conventions, I see the genetics people as some of the most important people in the game right now. And even there's a lot of sham going on. So if you are out there looking to invest in cannabis companies, be very, very sure that you understand who you're working with. Scalability here, extremely difficult. There is nobody out there that I know growing premium AAA cannabis on an uber large scale. If you think of fine wines, small vintners, small vineyards, they're growing the chronic, small batch bottles. You're not overboard. Where when you take this thing to the extreme and you max scale it, it loses the love and the flavor profiles. It loses something in that at this moment that I see. So we all have to be aware of reality when we're investing and out there in the market like this.
You began accepting Bitcoin early on, I think 2016 or maybe even earlier. Can you speak to why Bitcoin stood out to you and why you began accepting it early on for some of the, I guess, glass that you would actually blow yourself?
Right. So I started taking Bitcoin when it was probably at about $600 and something. It got up to 700, and it became more interesting to me. And for me, using a a currency that's online was attractive to me because I could do business with different parts of the world and still buy and sell on this Bitcoin. It was also attractive to me. It was also attractive to me because I enjoy that kind of a gray area quality that Bitcoin kind of defines for me. Being able to be part of the original Silk Road, being able to be attractive to people that wanted to buy things online without being noticed. This was all hand in hand with what I do, making bongs. And so I just felt like it was that kind of a currency that I could delve into. As it started to grow, I did believe that we were going to go skyrocket with this thing. So I tried to hold as much as I could. I try to promote it as much as I can still. And what I do is I do specials. First of all, any of the other cryptos, for me right now, I don't see them with the same viability I do with Bitcoin. Reason being is because I take Bitcoin for my business. You can go on my website, you can buy product with Bitcoin as well as you can go buy a Tesla. You can buy things with Bitcoin. Ethereum, some of these other ones are very difficult to go buy things with. It's more of a tradability on those. So that alone was my driving factor with Bitcoin. Was it is a currency and I can take it for what I do and it holds value. Now what I do is I'll offer specials to encourage people to spend Bitcoin with me, sometimes half off if you buy with Bitcoin alone. Granted, you can look at this in a couple different ways. Why is he giving half off? But for me, it's kind of a mining. It's the way I'm going to mine the Bitcoin out of anybody else's wallet. So it's for me the ability to kind of move and shake, have a separate account, and have value in it, and be able to use that currency for other people that I deal with in my supply chain as well.
I know you've explored NFT technology dating back to when it was essentially just known as the supply chain tracking technology. Can you speak to kind of your research into NFTs and why you think that they could benefit your business, either from a art perspective or even from a supply chain perspective?
Well, the biggest benefit I'm finding with the NFT space right now and us is that it offers a certificate of authenticity that's connected to the blockchain, and it holds our value. With the pieces that I make, they're made from glass, so the beauty is kind of in the fragility here. That blockchain attachment holds that piece forever, and so we're able to attach the NFT to an existing piece of artwork that gives the client that overall faith and security of they have a real artwork from me, and this is the value of the artwork, and here's the digital coin that kind of connects it all together. What I recommend for people out there in the space that are interested in NFTs, and what I ask, my first question to anybody that's asking me about NFTs is, do you have a wallet with NFTs in it? And if not, that's the first step anyone must do, is go ahead and get a wallet. There's many of them out there, and buy an NFT. We have them for sale. You can find them on our platform, as well as a lot of other people are working with NFTs. We're just now working with a gallery called Super Chief Gallery, and we'll be releasing some newer NFTs with them that hold a certain tangibility on their own. We're going to make some really special artwork that will attach to an NFT that will in my opinion here, where's the climax? I ask this all the time. You're going to go buy a pair of shoes. Well, you've thought about the shoes for a couple days. You go buy them, you get them home, you pop the box and you smell them, you look at them. That's where the whole emotion lies. In an NFT, I want you to find that in whatever NFT you're looking at or whatever NFT you're offering. is where is the client's climax in the purchase point of this NFT, and how does it work for them? And if you can find that, that's where you want to exploit it. And it's such a new open space right now that I believe that there's a lot of just really incredible imaginations wrapped around this thing. And we are just excited to keep it going and show the and bring this stuff out to the public so that they can have an NFT connected to their beautiful artwork, and they can share that with others.
Any other comments about the cannabis market in general as we head into 2022?
Well, what it looks like to me is that there's going to be a lot of aggressive takeovers out there. People that are becoming smart in the space and understanding where they can cash in, understanding how they can take over other smaller brands that are entering the space. I think there's going to be a walk carefully model now. You're going to have a price fluctuation that rings around. Before the harvest even happened this year, we got word that there was going to be too much cannabis in California, that the price was going to go down through the basement. And still, when I go buy AAA chronic cannabis at a dispensary, I'm paying the exact same price that I paid since 2016. So we have to be careful not to fall into the Wall Street or the stock market rut of people's, predicting that market's going to do this or market's going to do that. We have to understand, just like a 6-pack of beer, that 6-pack of Corona cost me $9 today. It cost me $9 4 years ago. Also, I still want to get drunk. I still want to go buy the beer. So we got to be real careful about listening to these bigger dogs that have overgrown themselves. I've seen it a couple times now. I see people scaling to go huge and grow mad amounts of mids. So you're talking, $12 eighths of mids. But in the end, that's going to be the Budweiser drinker, the guy who goes out and looks for the best deal and buys the mids. And there'll be a market for that. But there'll always be a market for AAA chronic cannabis. And that's kind of where we try to keep our feet on the ground, is in that premium quality market. I'm a firm believer that when you taste it and you smoke it, it's got to taste awesome. It's like tasting an incredible candy or a gum or a fine wine. If it tastes good, it's good. Okay. And the majority of what's going on out there, they went too big, too fast. The scalability did not work for them. And there's a lot of just mid-grade weed on the market right now. This should flush out as we move through the next couple of years. But again, that mid-grade will always be, there'll always be people looking for the best deals. They really don't have the flavor profile preference. But for me and the circles that we run in, it's all about flavors. It's all about premium quality cannabis. And still, they're out there selling $3,600 pounds in California wholesale because they have top dog weed. And I think we can look at that whole picture and use it to model our futures by, of, which way do you want to go? Do you want to scale to go to the mids and race to the bottom? Or do you want to understand the plant, understand the culture, and keep a premium grade cannabis and have that Dom Perignon of the industry? It's up to you as the business person.
We've had the honor of sitting down today with Jason Harris, founder and CEO of Jerome Baker Designs. Thank you so much, Jason, for joining us today.
Of course, Justin. I appreciate you.
Likewise, Jason. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this edition of Inside the Markets.